Hey guys, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to get this quarter panel dressed up, mocked up, and tacked onto the duster. We're already facing a couple setbacks. Let's see if we can overcome them. Okay, before we get into the setbacks, you can see I did go ahead and get the epoxy prime laid down, a couple of really nice wet coats on all of the surfaces that are going to be hidden once this quarter panel is on. You can see went in here over top of the rust converter and shot up as far as I could in all of the areas, all the way back along the quarter. So it's good and protected. Happy with how this has come out. The bottom as well. You can see I haven't painted on the surfaces that we're going to be welding to. We'll do weld through primer on those. But yeah, really happy with how that's come out. So I didn't go with AMD sheet metal for the quarter panels. And the reason why is because AMD only makes a full quarter for the dusters. They don't make a quarter skin, and I don't need a full quarter. But even more importantly, the cost of a full quarter from AMD to my door was just shy of $1,400 Canadian. And so I couldn't get there on this car. It didn't need it. So I went with, you'll recall, these Goodmark skins. And on the passenger side, it worked out great. However, on the driver's side, I can see I've got a couple issues on the skin, so let me walk you through them. Okay, first issue. I wonder if you can spot what's going on here. That's probably the best angle to see. Unfortunately, when they stamped that side marker light, they stamped it about 3/8 of an inch too high. It should be just off of this body line. I'll show you the original over here. Be a little hard to make out, but this is the body line coming down around here. And you can see that the edge of that marker light is just touching almost the body line. And it's the same on the passenger. The passenger quarter from Goodmark actually has it right. You can see that the body line comes down and that marker side lamp is stamped in just the right spot. So I can't live with that. I can't have one side proper like this and this side up, as I said, probably 3/8 of an inch. I can't live with that. So what we're going to have to do is cut a square basically around this marker light and slide it down to the right location and then put a new piece up at the top to fill it. It drives me nuts that I have to do that. But I have no choice. This panel I bought, I want to say 3, maybe 4 months ago. And I wanted to have it here just ready to go on. And I bought it from LKQ Keystone here in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And their return policy suggests that after 45 days, you can't return it, whether you have the receipt, even if it hasn't been touched like this has. So I'm stuck with this panel. I'm into it for $300 plus tax. So it's not the end of the world, but it's disappointing that I've got to make this repair. And there's one other thing that I've noticed. Let me show you that. The lip on the wheelhouse looks good until you get to the front. It's been stamped improperly. They didn't leave enough lip on here. I'm missing, I want to say 3/8 of an inch of a lip. I need 3/4 inch to make it look like it should. So I'm going to have to graft on another piece of 18 gauge here, grind it all down, flatten it, and then get the curve right for that to look like it should on the car. that's a couple hours worth of work right there. This is going to be, yeah, 2 to 4 hours probably to get that right. Remembering that it's going to be a tricky weld. I've got to really take my time on this one to make sure that I don't warp the panel and get it in the right position. That, yeah, probably 2 to 4 hours. I haven't noticed anything else wrong with the panel, but I'm very worried about everything else. The only way we're going to be able to really see now what else is wrong is to get this thing mocked up to the car. I'm worried about the body lines. If this panel is wrong already in 2 places, is that going to be a problem? I'm going to check the location of that filler neck. I can do that against the old panel. I haven't done that yet. Hopefully they've stamped that in the right location. I can tell already that it's, I want to say 3/4 of an inch, maybe 5/8 up from that body line. And it's the same here. There's the body line. So it's at the right height. I just don't know if left or right, if we're off a little bit. So that's going to be something to check. You can see the stamping is different, by the way. You can see here how this is pressed versus that one. It's a very different look. I don't know if that's going to bite me and later or not. Just noticing that, actually. I don't know if that's going to be a problem. It will depend on the gas cap that we go with and how that's going to fit on there. All right, well, I'm stuck with this panel, so I'm going to go forward with this. We're going to cut it up and get it ready to fit on the car and see what else we might see. And if we have to, worst case scenario, we might order another one, but I'm still hopeful that we can make this work with me adding the time necessary to make it work. Okay, they do have the stamping on the gas filler neck in the right location. As I showed you before, it's the right distance from the body line, but importantly, it's also the right distance left to right. I've measured from the edge here and to the distance of here, and I've got 45.5, and I measured the exact same distance on the original panel. So we know that it's stamped in the right location, no issues there. Really the only issue remaining with the filler neck will be, is this stamping, which is a bit more beveled, going to be an issue to this one, which is very, very pronounced vertical. It is the same depth, but there's no bevel. It's a direct stamp. Again, worst case scenario, I could cut this out and graft it into the new one. I don't want to have to do that if I don't need to, right? So there's that. Okay, similar to the passenger side, I've marked off where I'm going to come in and trim this panel so that we can start to mock it up. It won't be the final cut, but this will allow me to get the panel on the car and made it up and tested. Back here, you'll recall that I had to bend this piece over. You can see how I'll make a relief cut here, a relief cut here, a relief cut here, and bend this flap up as it should from the factory. So we'll get that all cut out now, and then we can start to get this panel up on the car and see how it fits. Okay, got that all cut out, and for now, just vice grip on, and good news. the body lines on this panel match up. You can see I've got them set now. If you can see the reflection, body lines match perfectly to the original. So happy with that. And it does match with this body line back here as well. So the panel is savable. We're going to be okay. I've got lots of things to do to this panel to make sure that it's going to be the way that I want it. Like we've talked about, you can see I have to press this in a little bit, but not much. That's about as far as it goes. We're short 3/8 an inch at least here on this lip. So I'm going to have to add that to this and then grind it to fit after, which is, again, just a pain in the ass, but we can do. The back is going to fit nice. It's got the right width already, actually, unlike the passenger side. And we are going to take a little bit more off the top here because I want my cut and butt really in the middle, roughly, of this body line and that top edge. So we're going to go through, we're going to cut more of this panel off. Not a lot, just a little bit more to get it fit just right. Down here, I think we're going to be fine when we do our cut and butt. That'll work out nicely. And along the back, we will also trim a bit more off, just a little bit more off here. Over here, I quite like this. We're just going to take some of this material off. Otherwise, I think that sits in there really nice. We will have to do a test fit with the bumper, but I'm looking at that, and I think that's going to be really good. What else? We know that we're going to also have to make, like on the passenger side, we're going to extend this lip out. Looks like 1.5 inches, nearly 2 inches, and come down to meet this panel. And you know that we're going to have to, like the passenger side, make a new panel that will extend from this to the edge of that lip and then 90 down. And we'll put our 2 bends in there for the drains. And we'll finish that off all cut and butt flush to make that look really, really nice. There's that. What else? Well, of course, we've got to move our marker light. And as I'm thinking about this, I'm probably going to do that work with the quarter panel screwed on, not welded on, but screwed on, because it'll be easier to work with it on the car like this, as long as the extension isn't in the car, which it's not right now, because I was looking at the other side. We can't work the inside of this with a hammer and dolly with this bracket in the way. So we'll do the work on moving that marker light down without putting the extension in, with the quarter just screwed onto the car. And I think that'll make it, well, although painful, it'll make it the easiest that we can do, as opposed to doing it on the ground or with this thing leaned up against something. It'll move around too much. So I think that's going to be the best way to go. What I'm going to do now is go through and mark the other trim that I want to do on this so that we can get it to a place where we're happy with the outer edges. And then we'll begin making our adjustments to the panel, moving the marker light, adding the lip to the wheel well, and the bottom lip over here, and so on. So I'll pick you up once I'm ready to start some of that metal work. Okay, I've got the panel trimmed to where I want it, and that's where I'm going to do my cut and butt, right along that edge there. Got that all trimmed, and also trimmed here. I may have to take just a little bit more off of here so I can push and do my cut and butt there, but otherwise feeling pretty good about that. I am going to want to test the bumper on this as one of the steps. But now what I'm going to do, also body lines. You can see, hopefully there in the camera, that all the body lines are matched up. The top one might look a little bit off because that panel has to get pushed in, but on the top, once it's pushed, it matches up with that third body line. So I'm matched up on the front with those 3 body lines. I'm matched up over here with this body line. So we are ready to do self-tappers to get this thing in its permanent location. And with that in place, then I can start to do the metal work around this thing that we've talked about. So let's go self-tappers. Okay, we want to start in the middle and work our way out. Keeping close eye, I put a mark here, you won't be able to see on the camera, but I've got a mark there to where it needs to be. So I've got to make sure that it doesn't shift while we're in here doing these self-tappers. So I'm going to do 1, we'll check our line, and we'll keep going. Okay, that looks good. Now, just stand back and make sure those body lines look good. The mark looks like we're good. Okay, it's not going to move now, so double check body line. I think we are golden. This is a step you do not want to rush. I think we are golden. I'll bring you over. All right. Hopefully that's showing up okay on camera. I'll zoom in a little bit. All 3 are good. They may look just a little distorted, and that's because we've got a panel lapped over top of another one. But if you look past that and look at the direction of the lines here going across, I think we are good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And the back should still be lined up here. Yeah, we've got that one lined up here, right through here. So I think we're good to finish off the self-tappers, and I'll do that and then pick you back up. Of course, I turn the camera off and I start to run into issues. So as I ran my self-tappers from the midsection to the rear, I started to get it bunched up here, like there was too much material. What was happening was I had it vice gripped right here. Remember that all of this right now is overlapped with what's left of the existing quarter, and it is has contour to it. So that's creating stress in the panel. I shouldn't have had that vice grip at the back. And so when I noticed that, I took the vice grip off, and the panel immediately went down because it was being forced. And so what I ended up having to do was take the vice grips off here, pull out all the self-tappers except for the front one, get this body line matched up, which it is now, as you can see, and then redo my self-tappers. And so you can see here how much further. You can see the inside there. The old hole, and I had to put new drill holes in. Well, 1, 2, 3 of them anyway. So not the end of the world, but something again that you got to get right now, because this is it. This is where things are going to be fabricated to fit, and those body lines have to be right. And now we've got that. So I've got the self-tappers in here to secure that panel. Very happy with the body lines in the back and the front. So Now we're good and we can begin next steps. Well, we got to start somewhere. So I've got, as you know, the quarter panel just hanging on here. I don't have any tension to the rear part of this quarter panel. It's just hanging freely. I don't want any stress on this panel. I just want it to hang from those self-tappers. So I've got that in place, and I've got this marked out to where I think we want to cut it. So we'll cut out likely the outside line here. Get that all cut out, and then I'll take this and trim that off, this piece, and that will allow us to slide that down. And then we may be able to use this piece that I cut off back up here. If not, we'll have to make a new piece to fill the gap once this is lowered down and tacked in. So let's see how bad we can screw this up. I'm gonna get it cut out. I'll do that off camera. You've seen me cut steel so many times, but when I'm ready to put it back in and position it, we'll pick you back up and go from there. Okay, well, I got it cut out and I've got all of the burrs out, and I'm using these butt welding clamps to just keep it in place, allow me to, I just get happy with where it's positioned, making sure that my gaps are even. Because I cut this out in a square, it should just drop straight down. So I want to make sure that my gap, to keep the tail lamp, or the side marker, pardon me, oriented in the right way. If I keep this gap the same distance along the edge, and I keep the verticals the same, then I shouldn't have any issues that way. I double checked this corner down to the body line. You can see, well, it's kind of gone now, but that's the body line mark right here. And it's about a 1/4 inch. And that's the same as the passenger side. You can see that we've taken out like 3/8 up here. So I think we've got it positioned in the right way. I'm going to stare at this a little bit more. It's also flush, by the way. The butt clamps help with that. So I think that's going to help make this thing stay true. This is going to be the trick, though. This part's easy. Getting this welded flat and flush is the tricky part without warping this panel. That's where patience comes in, the right amount of heat in this panel, so we don't create a problem for ourselves later. Yeah, so let me stare at this for a bit and we'll go from there. All right, I'm back over on the passenger side. I wanted to try and get a couple good measurements off this one so I could just double check the driver's side before I weld that thing in. So taking a couple reference points off the body line here, and on the back I've got a 1/4 inch and 3/8 up near the front edge of that. So if I come around to the other side, now I had to throw some paint on here. I just used weld through primer so it wouldn't create an issue later when I'm welding on here, but I had to throw the paint on so I could see a better reference point for the body line. And so I've got that now marked out here and here, just like the other side. And I've positioned now the piece to match up with the other side, 3/8 here and a 1/4 inch there. And I think we're in the right spot. Best I can tell, best I can measure it. You can see that I've had to cockeye this a little bit. I've had to tilt it forward, the front part of it up a little bit. I had to do that in order to get this 3/8 distance that I need here. So it's a little tight right here. I'd like a little bit more gap in there to weld. So I may have to do something with that. Otherwise, I think the piece is in the right spot and we're ready to start to tack this thing in. Okay, got that tacked in here. I think she's pretty good and flush. I think we're going to be okay with that. We just need to take our time and weld that up slowly, cooling it off with the air hose so we don't create any problems with, in this panel. Because that will happen on this thing for sure. You can see right here, it's already got a bit of a wow in it. So we got to be really careful with heat here. And we got to join this panel up here. So we'll get this tacked in. We'll check our straightness through the panel, and we got to get this piece in here. So this is the piece that I had in the bottom. So we just need to get that cleaned up and tacked in here. Oops. So we can join everything up here and not go too far without this joined together, because we will create a problem with this metal moving around on us. So this is a tricky part here, but take our time. I'll pick you up once I'm ready to tack this new piece in here. Okay, I've got that filler piece trimmed down, I think enough to where I'm happy, and I'm just holding it in there with a pair of vice grips right now. So this piece will warp very quickly, or easily. So got to be careful with this. I'm going to work my way across, make sure that we're level on both planes, and tack that in there. This is going to be tricky, but necessary. Let's get at it. Okay, there we go. Everything is all tacked in. It's very smooth. I think we got it very close. Won't be perfect, but it's very close. So now, as you know from previous welds like this, I've got to take my time. I've got to continue to tack this thing around and around and around, cooling it off with the air hose, and slowly closing up all of those gaps. Right now, the panel is still really straight. Happy with that so far. That's an important first step, getting it tacked, getting it straight. Now we just can't screw it up by putting too much heat in the panel and creating warpage, oil cannage in this space here. So I'm going to do that off camera because that's really hard to watch. But once that's done, I'll pick you up and we'll see how things turned out. Okay, I'm getting this thing all welded up, and I don't know if I've ever showed you how I'm checking for pinholes. It's pretty primitive, but this is the approach. I've got a bright light behind the panel, and I've just darkened this out so I can see any pinholes more easily. Let me see if it's not showing up on camera. Awesome, but look at right here. You can see I've got a circle there. If I take the light away and bring it back, you can see that shine through. Everywhere I've got a black circle is a pinhole that there's an easy one you can see right there. It's hard to pick it up on the camera, but in person, it shines up really easily through those pinholes, the light. And then you just take the welder, throw a tack on each one, and grind it down, and usually they're taken care of. Okay, all welded up. About 3 rounds of identifying pinholes and filling those up. It's solid now. I've got that green masking tape on there to show the body line direction versus the marker light. It looks to be almost identical to the other side. If I bring you over there, there we go here. So it's extremely close. It might be off by a 16th, but I think it's way better than it was before. And the panel stayed pretty straight. Still maybe a little bit of hammer and dollying to do, but you can see the panel is still straight. If I go down, still straight to the marker light. It's a little in on that forward corner. That needs a little bit of hammer dolly, and maybe just the whole bottom lip just a little bit, but it's good. And I've maintained the bottom as well. There's no warpage. Everything looks good. There's no oil canning. Everything is pretty flat. Of course, it's going to need fiberglass filler over top of here. We'll likely do the other side too, because on the other side we're going to want this all ground down, fiberglass fillered smooth, and painted. We don't want any evidence of this relocation. So we'll do body work on both sides of this panel when time comes. Anyhow, what I meant was just that this is going to require some body work, right? Just to get that perfect and to bring that body line. Unfortunately, the weld got really close to the body line there, right? So that's going to get a bit tricky. We'll just have to work with the filler and the high build with the masking tape to make sure that we've got good definition on that body line when we do our body work. But I think we can call that a win. Okay, on to the next issue. This lip is too narrow. I should have at least 3/4 of an inch on this lip. I've got it up here, but it's all gone here. On the back side, it's good. So I think what we're able to do here is just trace this out. And we're going to add a piece of 18 gauge. I think we want to go basically to here. Shoot. I think if we get that, shoot, come on, get that contour right. Yeah, I think if we get that contour right, then we want to add just a little bit up here. I want to add something like, I want to get a little extra so we have some to grind off, but not too excessive. I take a 3/4 inch masking tape. I think that's what we want. So and I'll just match the contour to the existing trace line there, and that should give us the shape we need. It just might be a little fat. Let me just double check that one. Yeah, that's good. This one's already close. Yeah, it's more than we need, but we'll grind that once it's welded. So I think, double check, I don't want to do this twice. Yeah, so if I follow the contour of, break this off, follow this contour, but move it over to match those marks, and I cut this piece out and tack it on, weld it up. and then grind to fit, and I think we'll be okay. So I'm going to go and draw that out, cut out a piece of steel, and I'll pick you up there. All right, we've got our paper template here, and we've got our piece of 18 gauge, and got to get the contour just right, and we'll have to tack it and kind of shape it a bit because there's two bends going on here. There's this way and there's this way, so it's going to require a little bit of massaging, I think. But I think with a little bit of massaging, we can get this tacked on at the bottom, nice and flush, but with a small gap in between. Might even use the butt weld connectors to help us with that. And then get this tacked in, make sure we're happy, and we can weld it out. First thing I'm going to do is just grind off all of this EDP coating, and then I'm going to get vice grips or maybe my butt weld connectors, and we'll get this positioned on there. As I said, we want to make sure we got a gap in between these two so we can fill it up with weld and grind this flat. So I'll pick you back up in a moment. Okay, got a position there with the butt weld clamps, and quite happy with how that's going to fit. It's good and flush, and I've got the gap I need to get the penetration required for a good solid weld, and again, I can weld that down flat now. So nothing left to do but to tack it in and then weld her up. All right, all tacked in, got the butt weld clamps out. Really happy with how that's come out. So just got to weld her up, grind her off, and we've got our new lip. Giddy up. Okay, there we go. She's all welded in, ground down, and cut to fit. You can see the contour there. Looks really good. No further trimmings required there. Happy with how that's come out. This piece right here will weld and grind flat once the panel is in for its final fit, and this flap is in the right location to the outer rocker. We will, once this thing's welded in, we'll come in and we'll also narrow up this top of the wheel lip there for tire clearance like we did in the passenger side. So that's another 2 hours, maybe a bit more into this panel to fix the defects that came with it. And now we're going to move on to making this lower lip like you've seen me do on the passenger side. Okay, we're moving on to the next piece. You'll recall from the passenger side that these Goodmark skins don't finish off at the bottom here. They're missing some material here and a 90-degree bend with the lip. So I've already gone ahead, like the other side, and made up this piece that we're going to use to extend it. It will go on roughly like that. And we will do a butt weld on this. But the first thing that we're going to do is we know that we're missing, let's get that up a little bit, we're missing the water drains that allows the water to come down this panel and drain out the bottom of the rocker and the quarter. So we're going to put these two drains in, and then we'll come back and we'll tack this piece in, and later we'll do a cut and butt with the quarter once it's off the car. Okay, I'm using the old piece. I've got it positioned at the end here, and these are the two drains, although semi-mangled. Those are the two drains. So I want to get those roughly close to factory, and so that's where I've marked it and where we're going to go ahead and bend in those drains that you saw me do last episode. All right, we're going to make these drains. I've got 5/16 inch round rod here just tacked on the piece to hold those in place so I can put it in the vise and do what I got to do. Okay, we just got to straighten her out. Just a little bit of hammer and dolly work though. And there we go. That's exactly the look we're going for. And it will allow the water to drain out there. Just gotta probably hammer and dolly that a bit, grind that off. But that is exactly what we're aiming for. So I'll do one more of those, and I'll pick you up when I'm ready to tack this on. Okay, I've got the back secured via the wheel lip, and the thing to note here that you can see is that this piece is pressed up right now. It's pushed out because it's still overlapping the old quarter. So to get this in the right position is pretty important and a little tricky because of the stage that we're at. But when I push this all the way in to there, which is where it probably will be sitting when it's cut and butt, and I lay this up against it, then I'm on that outer black line that hopefully you can see on the camera right here. So I just need to get this positioned this way, which is just going to line up with the back lip, and then I'll put a tack there and a tack at the back, and that's going to be where things line up. So we'll do that. Remember that there's going to be a piece here that I'll make when it's off the car that will extend the quarter panel up, and we'll make this now one whole piece. So I'm just going to get that tacked on. Okay, tacked on in the right spot there. That's going to be great. So again, once it's off the car, we'll do a cut and butt along the seam here so it's good and flush, and then we're going to make this piece here. All right, okay, got that piece tacked on there through the cut and butt. Here's the old piece that came off behind it. So now I just got to weld that up, grind it off, and we've got our finished panel, with the exception of this little piece right here that I'll make. I've also gone through and drilled out the holes that we need around the wheel lip. So those are ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and weld this up. I'll pick you up after. Okay, got that piece all welded in there and actually back on the car for a test fit. And yeah, very happy with how that looks. And the two drains, come on, it looks fantastic. Yeah, and so you can see as well, I've went ahead and started to prep the cut and butt surfaces, actually on both sides of this panel, to make sure we're down to bare metal, so they have nothing interfering with any of the cut and butt welding that we'll be doing in the not too distant future. So there we are. All right, guys, this episode's getting a bit long, so I'm gonna end it here. We got a lot done though. I'm really happy with how the panel's coming together, even with the two setbacks. I think this is going to work out just fine. We've got a little bit more work to do. In the next episode, we'll finish off this piece down here at the front corner of the rocker. We will do our final fitment to the drop-down extension and start to get that secured. And we've got a touch-up to do and a fitment to correct in the back rear bottom corner here. Outside of that, and the prep with weld-through primer and some of the surfaces, we're in great shape. So in the next episode, we'll get this all finished up, and we'll do our cut and butt, we'll do our first set of tacks, and then we'll finish it up all in that next episode. So thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of that. As always, if you have some tips, ideas of your own, things I could have done differently, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Love to hear from you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate it very much. Until next time, cheers.